Hello there, my name's Michael Young. I'm an artist and this is my little studio. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Brush with Paint. If you're interested in painting, then I think I've learned a few things over the years that I'd like to share with you and perhaps help improve your paintings. So without further ado, let's get to it. Okay, so what I've got here is just a canvas board. I like to sort of nib them off a little bit with a bit of 320 just to smooth them out. And I'm mixing up this grey acrylic just for speed. I don't normally use acrylic. White canvas can be quite daunting, but more importantly, this is a neutral colour, and it's easier to judge your lights and your darks when you have a neutral colour. And this is the photo reference. And this is my palette, and I've listed the colours here, which go anti-clockwise. You can pause that if you want. So when I start a painting, I often have a simple grid. Well, it's not really a grid. You can just about make it out. It's basically an X with a cross, and this just helps me to generally locate where the major shapes are. It's a shortcut to drawing. I mean, I could draw this. But that's just more time, and it just gets you going a little bit quicker. First thing you want to do when you do an oil painting is to get your darks in. But as you can see here, I'm drawing with a brush, so I'm sort of doing both, which is why I've sped this along quite a bit. Switching to a bigger brush now. I mean, arguably I could use a much bigger brush, but sometimes I just like to sort of play around. Here I've just ignored the photograph and I've decided that I'd like a leaf down here, and you can make one up. This is the great thing about especially painting nature, is things like leaves, foliage, trees. You can actually take quite a lot of liberties, and people aren't really going to notice as long as you get the general impression of the thing. Right, blocking in the big masses. Again, I probably could use a bigger brush for this, but I'm sort of drawing and filling in at the same time. Got a palette knife on the go, makes things much easier. Spread it about, get going. Whenever I paint anything, and it's not so much the case here, this is more an exercise in just literally copying what I see, but I often like to really think about what I'm painting and how it makes me feel, and these sorts of things. This way of thinking can help you. Actually, it can drive you on to complete your painting, for one thing, and I find it just helps to do that. So now I've got my dark in, I can throw something in here which might look white, but it isn't. But the dark background will make these light colours or light tones really jump out. So, I mean, obviously the photo reference, the petals have a much more of a yellow note in there, but I'm not concerned with that. I'm trying to get the lightness and the darkness of all these elements just right, and they'll all just fuse together. I would like to stress at this point that all these tips and things that I suggest they're merely the way that I choose to do things. There's nothing to say that you have to follow this to the letter, but this is the wonderful thing about art. There are all these rules, and you can, if you wish, choose to ignore them. It's not a science. It's more of a connection of feelings that you have, and it is, after all, art is about self-expression. But if you want to paint realism, then it does pay to follow some of the rules a bit. And if you do, you'll find over time, with patience, you'll pull it off. But it's just something that takes time, and you do certainly have to be patient. But like all things worthwhile doing, if you put the time and the effort in, then the reward that you get at the other end makes it all worthwhile. I have held off of using pure white. You don't really want to use titanium white on its own until the very end, because pure white, it doesn't really occur that often in nature unless you're maybe on a summer's day at a river or something. You get specular highlights coming off of water, something like that. These are the only times you're really going to see pure white. Things may look white, but it's more a case of what's behind it that makes it look white. For the foliage here, I've stuck to mainly using sort of sap green, maybe just a touch of yellow ochre and a bit of burnt umber, and maybe even ultramarine blue. But if you're starting out, I suggest really you want to restrict yourself to using no more than 3 colours in a mix at the same time, because basically the more you add to your colour mix, the more potential there is for your colours to go muddy. So that's what I would say about that. I think a lot of people that don't know, when you say oil painting, they immediately think of Grandmaster, these incredible works of art, and it can seem very daunting. Well, of course it is. I mean, these people are extremely rare, but the actual oil painting process, if you just start with the basics first, it's actually very forgiving. If you want a real challenge, do watercolour wet on wet. That's a sort of a black art almost, but oil painting is very, very achievable. And all you have to remember is, if you make a mistake, it doesn't matter. You can, if it's still wet, if you like, you can just wipe it off or let it go completely dry and paint over the top. So you can never really get anything wrong. There's always a way to fix things. So don't think you have to get it right the first time. Most some professionals will tell you that they don't. It's a question of putting down a series of marks and then judging them against the others and deciding whether that's correct or not. But my advice would be, try and get quite a bit down first before you start worrying about what's right or wrong. Because people who aren't, in my experience, people who aren't confident about drawing or painting, they'll just make a few marks and immediately reach for the rubber or the cloth, or wipe it off, or just try and start again. And there's no real way of knowing that until you've got quite a bit of information down to judge, if you see what I mean. I suppose one of the major things I love about painting, or painting an image, is how you can get sort of lost in it. And if you really focus and you try and you think about what you're painting and the context of it, you can lose yourself for a while. Certainly in things like landscapes, once you really start to sort of see into a landscape, you almost go there. It sounds kind of weird, but that's how it makes me feel. So for that reason, I think it's fantastic. Again, I'm not really thinking about specific colour exactly, just more over the brightness of things. And if you get that right, if you get all your values right, you'll find that the painting will just work, or it should do anyway. Well, there we have it, my first video. Thanks very much for watching. If you have any comments or anything you'd like to suggest, please do so in the comment section below.
And if you're feeling particularly brave, you could always like and subscribe to this channel, even if it is just my first video. Thanks again for watching, and till the next time, bye for now.